Tried to hold us back, to hold us, tried to hold us back.
We will be here forever. Do you understand? Forever.
Hey, it's Shan here. This week I catch up with the other half of the Alex Cameron music act. It's Mr. Roy Molloy. Roy plays the saxophone. He has his own breakfast radio show that he does like guerrilla style, so I'll put a link to that in this episode's show notes. But it's a great episode. He shares about his musical journey, playing stadiums with bands like The Killers, and much, much more. Thoroughly loved it. Feel like we're going to be mates for a long time. And yeah, it's a good episode. So sit back, relax, and get to know Mr. Roy Molloy.
Tried to hold us, tried to hold us, vain, tried to hold us back, forcing the vein.
Child of the crayon, child of the light, stars of the neon belong to a culture destined to rock for eons. Time doesn't exist, shut those cataracts, capture the virtual.
Right.
Have you always liked the sound of your own voice?
No, I used to hate it.
Really?
I did.
When? When did you hate it?
I remember when I was in high school and I tried to make a band with my friends. I was trying to record a song, like my very, very first ever attempt at like writing a song, and I recorded it on a little tape recorder, and I just talked into it for a bit, and I thought I sounded like such a wimp. I didn't like it.
Had your voice broken yet?
I don't actually remember my voice ever breaking.
Man, sit that on your lap, lower that down.
Oh, yeah.
And I usually just sit back with it on my lap a little. Maybe
that's
go.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
And I just realised that my microphone stand got knocked over in the last podcast and it's broken.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah, I'm not
I
blaming.
can see the connection's fucked, and you need a new little. There's like a.
It's jammed in there.
That's a.
Yeah.
Give us a. Are we live right now? Are we hot?
We're live.
Okay. Do you want me to have a little fiddle with it? I've fixed that. Okay, yeah.
That's good. Look, listen, you've given me enough of your time.
All right. That's the podcast, guys. It's a wrap.
Dude. But I mean, fast forward to nowadays, gee, you got a good voice for radio.
I really appreciate. Thank you. I'd see for ages, even playing shows, I didn't want to say anything on the microphone. I would just play saxophone, and I was too nervous to even talk on the mic. I was almost too nervous to play the sax, but once I started doing it, I don't know what happened. Hearing it in my headphones right now, it's like this is therapy to me. I love this shit.
Yeah, dude.
It feels really nice.
It does.
I want to compliment your voice as well.
Oh, thank you.
There's a real kindness.
Oh, man, I've been working on that. I'm trying to be kind. But I was saying to Dustin in my last podcast, like, battling resentment has been one of my biggest life issues, man.
We're simpatico about that for sure.
Are you the same? Man,
I mean,
if I get a resentment, dude, I can't let that shit go.
That's the thing. Fuck. I used to, it's so dog, but I used to resent other bands that were doing better than me and Alex. I don't know if you, yeah.
Well, let's give us some context. So
Okay.
Tell me the name of your band and what your role in that band is.
Well, my name's Roy. I play with an artist named Alex Cameron. He's like if Lou Reed was a good singer. You know what I mean?
It's a compliment to me.
He's my mate. He's one of my oldest mates. And we've known each other since we were little kids. Very lucky that our band did good. But he's a great songwriter, and I play saxophone in his band. I mean, the band is just the two of us, I guess. But yeah.
And that's all you do in the band, like just sax?
Just sax. Just sax. On stage, that's, yeah.
Dude, we made an interesting connection tonight in the car on the way over here. And can you tell us about your band's connection to the skateboard brand Baker?
Oh, I mean, we'll start with how I met, how we met Dustin, because you mentioned that he was on your last show, right? And I mean, me and Alex were getting our asses kicked, man. Our music, people were not interested at first. Like there was the cool corp group, we had some people who were into it in Sydney and other people who were maybe, a few hundred people who were into it, but we were not making money or selling lots of tickets to our shows. And then Alex went to LA with another band of his to play a show, and he tried to do a solo show, and it went, he said there were 10 or so people there, but one of the people was Dustin, and I don't know how he heard of the music. I don't know how he comes across the music. He's kind of one of those guys with his finger on the pulse or whatever. And then after the show, Alex was his plan was to sleep in his rental car, and Dustin had given him his phone number, so he goes to sleep in the car. And then in the middle of the night, a security guard came and knocked on the window and said, "You got to go." And Alex called Dustin, and Dustin said, "Come crash on the couch," and that's how they met. Anyway, Alex comes back from overseas because I couldn't go to the States at that time for a handful of reasons. But anyway, Alex comes back, from overseas. He and I we worked in a pizza shop at the time, him and I, so we were just working and trying to save our pennies. But I was living with this bloke, L Towns, my guy Townsend, and he was a skater, and there were always these fucking rancid skaters hanging around the house, him and his little skate crew. And I came home from work one day, and L Towns and his guy loved her, and these like drunk skate rats were all in the house, and they were furious with me. They were angry at me. As soon as I walk in the room, they're like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, what the hell?" And I was like, "What are you on about, you fucking you drunk skate cunts?" And they were like, "You didn't tell us, Dustin Dolan, man." And yeah, Dustin had put us in, I think this was 2016, so I think it was like his Volcom video or something. I don't know.
What do you mean they put you, like...
Dustin had put an Alex Cameron track in, like, on his skate clip, and I don't know if it was...
So he was his part. I thought it was Baker 4G.
Well, later on we were in Baker. That was, 2019, Baker 4G.
He's used your music for more than one video part.
He'd used us for a few parts, yeah. So anyway, these...
But definitely 4G.
Definitely 4G. And that was the big time for us, That was... Again, I'm not a skater, so I didn't know the importance of this at the time. My housemate and all these skate rats are in the flat just blowing up at me.
It's a serious question then. Like, do you feel like it elevated your audience?
Absolutely.
Absolutely?
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
Because, I'm not a skater, but I think it's... I think whatever's going on in the culture in terms of, whether it's... I don't know nothing about fashion, but fashion or music, the skate scene is kind of at the front of that, I feel like.
In terms of influencing fashion?
Fashion, music, taste.
Interesting to hear that from a non-skater.
I mean, that's just how it seems from the outside. I feel like it's the queer scene and the skate scene. They're the two scenes that, in my mind, dictate fashion. Well, I like the most prescient in fashion and music.
And music trends.
Maybe, yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm talking shit, but...
No, like we talk about it all the time on here. We really do. And we're like, are we tripping? Like, for me, like, because I guess I'm an older skater, anytime I see someone wearing a pair of skate shoes, Vans or whatever, like it's because of skateboarders. But everyone wears them now. It's like they're the standard shoe.
That's, yeah.
Aside from joggers.
So after that, I feel like, at least, definitely in the Sydney scene, and I discovered as we toured more, me and Alex started to do better and book bigger shows overseas, and all sorts of luck or whatever led to that. But everywhere we go in the world, there's always a couple of skate rats at the show. And frothing.
Do they say, are you that band?
Nah, they're too cool for that. Come on. No, every now and then someone says something. But
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
Sydney.
Which part?
Bondi.
How do you reflect on that time in your life as a child?
Oh, I loved it. I was there before the Olympics, so I know a little bit of the old Bondi, but I loved it. I was like...
What memories come to mind?
I mean, I was big into the surf club. I was all about it. I loved the fucking... I got my bronze medallion. I was a lifesaver. It's not that cool, but I was a surf boat rower. I loved that. And, the skate, I feel like the skaters were always somewhat, people I looked up to with awe. They were kind of the cool kids.
Definitely were around the eastern suburbs.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved living in Bondi. I mean, it's fucking paradise by the sea, you know.
And did you stay there like all through your younger years, teen years? And
I did, yeah. I lived in Bondi till I was, I guess, I probably moved out of there when I was 25. Yeah.
I find the eastern suburbs such an interesting place. Mm-hmm. My memories of it, I lived on Bondi Road in 1998.
I was there then. Wait, whereabouts on Bondi Road?
Right next to the Olympic Hotel.
Fuck yeah, I lived next to the BP.
And there used to be a Portuguese
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like
It was a Gallows, man.
Yeah.
Do you know the story of a Gallows and a Portos?
Well, Ogallo was first. No, Nando's. Nando's was the OG one.
Let me tell you the story, all right? A Gallows was two brothers.
Right.
Not Portuguese, they were Greek.
Okay.
And, you know, years and years later, I toured with my band in Portugal, and they don't do Portuguese chicken there. That's not a thing. These two Greek guys just invented that. Entrepreneurs. These two brothers started a Gallows. They got in a big argument. It was in South Bondi. They got in a big argument. They said, one of them said, fuck you, went up to North Bondi, set up a Portos. Yeah, they were brothers. A Portos and a Gallows, two Greek blokes. Brothers.
I didn't
They got in a
that.
stash, yeah. Got in a stash and split the business. And a Portos took off. And a Gallows, you know, I'm still a loyalist.
They got street cred.
They do, with me at least, with some of us.
Yeah, but that's not paying the bills like Porto.
Sometimes I feel like their Prego sauce, the Gallows Prego sauce does. I overdid it, obviously, because I lived right down the street from it. I lived at the BP, which, as you know, was like 50 metres away. And I just ate that fucking Prego sauce. It gave me weird dreams.
Did it?
Gave me weird dreams, yeah.
Just made you trip out.
Just dreams of like scale, you know what I mean? Geometric dreams.
Really?
Maybe
like kaleidoscopic?
Maybe, yeah. I guess I'd also, you know, I was also just getting into weed for the first time. I think that's a bit
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so because you were going to sleep stoned.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because you had the munchies and got a Gallows.
Got a Gallows.
I just remember very clearly Nando's was the OG Portuguese chicken place.
Yeah.
But it was always a bit too fancy, a bit too expensive.
It was a little overpriced.
When Gallows came in, I was like, yes.
I can afford this.
It's the working man's Portuguese chicken. Owned by Greek dudes.
Yeah. My disappointment when I went to Portugal and I couldn't get some Portuguese chicken, mate. I can't even tell. I was in Lisbon just like, obrigado, guys. Get me some fucking chicken.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I do, two younger sisters.
Yeah? What's your relationship with them like?
Great, yeah. They're the best. I would say that they definitely, even though they're younger than me, I would say they probably, it was never a case of me teaching them anything, put it that way. They were a little more intelligent than I was.
Yeah, right.
From quite a young age. But I would say I was very protective of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how that's innate.
Yeah.
I used to really give my younger brother shit. Like I picked on him. I bullied him.
I feel like I could have done with an older sibling.
To keep your ego in check?
Yeah. Or like I feel like an older sister I would have really benefited from.
In what way?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could have done with an older sibling though.
So when...
Wait, you said you got younger brothers?
I got one younger brother, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know if I think I was innately protective of him, but...
I don't know what it's like to have a brother.
Were they into music?
No, I was the musical one in the family. I'd say my family's not they're pretty musical people, but I would say I'm the most musical of the family.
How old were you when you picked up your first instrument?
I played when I started learning the sax when in school when I was like 10 years old, I guess.
Dude, because I'm frothing because my daughter's learning the trumpet at the moment and she won Band Person of the Year.
Oh, that's sick. Dude. Wait, how old is she?
She just turned 10.
That's because I don't even remember learning to play the sax. We had like group lessons at my school. Yeah, and I have no memory of it. I just knew I fucking was suddenly just a teenager and knew how to play the sax. Did
you think that was cool?
Well, at the time it was like 2000 and 3 or 4, everyone was into the Strokes and shit. It wasn't really about the saxophone. So I had to switch to bass when I was in high school, and I played in all my first bands where I was playing bass. I never played the sax till I linked up with my guy Alex and started making.
And went back to the sax.
I picked up I hadn't played it I took a break from sax from like 18 till 20 something.
Did the bass feel easy compared to the sax?
Yeah. The bass. I mean,
just pick it up easy.
I don't want to. If any bass players are listening, it's a very, very. It's probably the coolest instrument, the bass guitar, and it's like super technical. The stuff you can do with it, but as an instrument that like no one else, they needed, the band I was playing in at the time needed a bass player, so I borrowed a friend's bass and taught myself how to play.
Interesting, because a previous guest mentioned that he feels that the lead singer and the lead guitarist are the ones that get all the attention from the who's. From
men or women who are trying to fuck the members of the band.
I didn't say that, but now that you say it, yes.
Men, women, or whatever, or whoever is trying. Yeah, the people who are at the show, the single people at the show who are horny
who want to have sexual interactions,
which is fucking cool. I would love to do that one.
but I reckon the one instrument that trumps all that by default is the fucking sax, man. That thing, does it get any sexier? Seriously.
I try so hard to make it sexy. I'm working overtime.
Is that your sax right there?
That's my sax right there.
Fuck, man. Can you bang out a couple of bars? Come on. Can you?
Let's keep talking. We'll do after the show we'll play some horn.
Can you sax us out?
I'm not saxing us out live on the show. Come on now.
Okay.
I'll sax us out later. I'll sax you out. We're in our flow state right now. Don't make me stop and set up the horn.
Sorry. It's kind of just
I'll play some horn. I'll play us out.
I just did that thing I hate that people do, like, when people say to a comedian, "Oh, say something funny," or or they say to a skater, "Just do a kickflip." I just did that to you. Sorry.
Don't apologize. This is the no apology zone going forward. I will definitely play some sax for the tail end of the program. Something to fade us out.
You will fade us out.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited. Sorry, go.
I mean, as for the lead singer, lead guitarist thing, I think it's also a case of those two members of the band. Maybe I think that's two people in the band that maybe tend to be hornier or more attention-seeking than the other members of the band. So it's not just that it's a two-way street. You know what I'm saying? It's not just that the people in the crowd are trying to fuck those members of the band. Mm-hmm. It's that those members of the band are trying to fuck the crowd as well. It's you know what I'm saying? I personally would never in my life do that.
Like you wouldn't abuse your power like that?
No, fuck
You think they're abusing their power?
I'm not for me to comment.
Let's face it, they're in a position of power, man. They got the crowd eating out of their hand.
I think they're in more of a position of power than they've ever been in their lives. I don't know if it's that much of a position of power, but yeah.
Maybe it's the vulnerability. They're putting themselves in a vulnerable position in front of all these people.
Yeah.
And man, that makes people horny.
It's true.
Vulnerability is horniness.
Singing in front of a crowd, singing a country song, singing a song to a lover, that's gonna make their shit feel nice.
Favorite country and western singer?
Oh, what's his name? Fucking banjo. Banjo. I was reading I read The Man from Snowy River the other day. Nah, I'm serious. Don't laugh. I read The Man from Snowy River the other day. I tried to read it to an American friend of mine, and I couldn't get through it. My voice broke. I nearly cried.
Why?
I was just I'd been in the States for like 8 months and months, years, and I just missed home.
Oh man, you get the serious
for real. And something about the tale of brave, it's the bravery or something. I don't know.
Dude, or did you do that thing where you might have read that poem as a kid and you hadn't had any life experience, but then you go and you grow up and have some life experience and all of a sudden that same reading has a completely new meaning now.
Exactly.
That's happened to me. It happens to me with movies sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that movie, The Colour Purple.
Ah, it's a beautiful
And it was on as a kid. I remember my parents are bawling their eyes out. And I'm like, what the fuck is it? Why are they crying?
Oprah, man, no one knew she could act.
Yeah. And then I watched it as an adult, and I was just like,
That's a brutal film.
I just couldn't get my shit together. I was like blubbering.
That happened to me with Steel Magnolias.
Sally Field.
Yeah. Julia.
I forget how that ended.
I can't even say it.
Thank you.
Because they're not just, it's not there, because they're so, you know, they're so strong on the inside. You know what I mean? It fucking just broke me down. I was watching it on a plane recently. I went to Paces.
Dude, have you cried on a plane?
Yeah, a few times.
Same.
It's the altitude and also just like,
I watched the movie The Conjuring on a fucking plane.
I haven't seen that.
Horror movie. And to this day, you know, I'm in a plane full of 200 people and middle of the day watching a horror movie and just petrified. Interesting.
There's science for that, I'm sure.
And then
I'm sure it's a scary movie too.
And like, when I found out in the movie The Notebook that the old couple was actually the couple reliving their lives, that got me pretty good too. I was like, I remember started watching it going, oh, fuck this chick flick, fucking shit, what the, you know.
That's
Next
a
thing I
real
know, I'm
movie.
like, man, this is, oh, no, she's the chick.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a lot of types of love in this world, and it's really fucking beautiful.
Are you in love?
I'm ever, like I said, a lot of types of love in this world. You know, there's love between friends. There's love between a podcast host and his interviewee. There's love between. There's a lot of types of love in this world.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I don't have a girlfriend right now.
Have you ever been married?
I've been married, yeah.
Okay.
But that topic is off topic.
Off limits?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely work very hard at protecting that.
I will. I'll 100. If we stray into uncharted territory, or not uncharted, if we stray into, if I don't want to talk about something, I'll tell you.
But how do you feel about marriage as an institution?
That's the thing. When I got married, it was 2020. I genuinely, I was in New York at the time, and over there, it just seemed like the fucking apocalypse. You know, they had the public pool had sandbags around it. You know, and like, I thought there was a line around the fucking block at the dollar store. Like I thought the world was going to end, and I really just wanted to hitch my wagon to something eternal. You know, and I thought that in that way, marriage is really beautiful. It's an incredible thing to declare to someone.
I agree.
Should I have involved the state of New York? I think no. I think that kind of sullied it. I think if I really just extra double, I couldn't have, that's the thing, I couldn't have promised to this woman any more that I loved her, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was good to put it in. It's good to go give $50 to City Hall and...
Is that all it was? It's pretty cheap.
It's cheap going in, but to get out, it costs a fucking fortune.
I've heard. But
anyway.
Rumour has it you've actually married people as a minister. Can we get some background on that, or is that off limits?
No, that's on limits. Sure, that's good advertising. Actually, back in 2017, the band wasn't doing so good. We were doing okay, but just didn't have a lot of money. And I thought it'd be a good money spinner if I got ordained and started marrying people. And thankfully, in the United States, the Universal Life Church. For again $50, we'll ordain you legally. So I am a minister, and I've only married 2 people.
Okay.
They were, but that was really beautiful. That was a really nice. They were down in Richmond, in Virginia. We went down to the river. All their friends were there, and they stood by the river and I spoke at length, which they didn't ask me to do, but I was very moved by the moment. It was because it was the rushing water and all their friends and family, and you know I was going through all this other personal stuff. But yeah, they got married. What followed was like one of the heaviest drinking sessions I've ever seen in my whole life. Fast forward. And they've got the fucking Mac 10 out. We're shooting at this old car.
What time? 3 a.m?
it was, I don't know what time of night it was, but yeah, we were fucking blasting this car with this machine gun. I'd never shot an automatic weapon before.
How does it feel?
Honestly, you push the button, not the button, you push the trigger, and
squeeze it.
yeah, and bullets just fucking fly out of it.
Yeah.
And you've got no control where they're going.
Oh, interesting.
And I was used to playing Call of Duty, but you squeeze that thing and the 30 bullets will come out of it in what feels like 2 seconds.
Wow.
And the car, it was what was it? It was oh, fuck.
Look like a pin cushion?
Yeah, it was fucked up.
Interesting.
It was absolutely destroyed. If there was someone sitting in it, they would have been dead. So it was a big day of firsts for me.
Sure it was.
It was a Hyundai Sonata. I just remembered.
Yeah. Back what year model?
It was pre-2000. I like that car, but
Yeah. That was before Hyundai became cool.
I thought that was a great era of Hyundai because it had the weird styling, but that V6 engine was nice. One man's opinion. One minister's opinion.
You actually refer to yourself as a minister?
Nah. First time just then as well.
What about like after a gig and you're mingling in the crowd at the bar and you need to get yourself over the line do you ever say, I'm a minister?
I mean, I could say that and I'd be in my rights, but I don't often bring that up. I try and, what would I lie about if I was at the bar? What would be, I'm trying to think of a good one. Because there's better than saying I'm a minister. I'd say I'm fucking
I don't know, man. I
rich or
think
something.
you've got it in the bag with the whole, I'm a sax player for a kick-ass band. My song was on Baker 4G.
Yeah.
Like most chicks, if that's your thing, will eat that up.
Yeah. I've never brought up the Baker thing.
Just bring it up.
Wow, I hadn't thought about that.
When you graduated high school, how was that first year of your life out of
It
school?
was great, yeah.
What were you doing?
I was working at the Sofitel Wentworth in the Sydney CBD. It's a 5-star hotel, and I was working as a valet. I was parking the cars. That was a great job, and a real eye-opener for me as well, because I'd worked in cafes and I'd worked at a chemist and stuff, but I just couldn't believe, for one, it was a great job because I got to drive every car in existence, you know. I got to just drive. I don't mind. I didn't love cars at the time, but by the end of that job, I had an appreciation. It was 3 stories, the car park, 3 stories underground, and on the bottom floor there was this giant drain that opened onto. It was just a giant drain, like 4 meters by 4 meters, that opened into blackness. You couldn't see because we were so far underground, but you could hear rushing water. And we had a bong down there, and we'd smoke cones and park cars, and it was a fucking sick job. I couldn't, 5-star hotel as well. I couldn't believe the difference between like front of house that the customer sees, and it's just it was just interesting to see the back of house and how disgusting that is. You know what I mean? It's like, you ever work in a kitchen? It's like when it's the eye-opening moment where you're like, good God, there are fucking roaches back here.
Dude, you know how you were saying you lived in Colorado, which I want to get to and talk about that.
Sure.
I worked as a dishwasher at a restaurant in Breckenridge, Colorado called Rasta Pasta.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and it was like the best job I've ever had. But yeah, like I'd never really spent that much time in a kitchen, and man, kitchens can be pretty wild places in a restaurant.
There's cool people in the
AKA,
kitchen.
like, you know, cleanliness.
Yeah.
You see some wild shit.
Smoking weed and getting on the drugs or whatever.
Well, that was what was so cool about it. I knew I was in a very interesting place to work. On my first shift, I was washing dishes. I was up to my arms, elbows in dish water. And my manager went, "Yo, Shannon, you want to talk of this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was and I'd never seen a glass pipe, you know, like and it was nice. Had like you know, like a marbly type sort of vibe, and just piece of bud, no mixer, just straight in my mouth, and just lit it up for me and held it to my mouth while I was washing the dishes.
Bro, the first time you're in the States and they give you some pure weed, you know, because we're used to spinning it over here.
It's because it was expensive. We couldn't afford to not spin it.
Yeah, in the States they don't fuck with that. They just give you the straight weed.
How long you smoke weed for?
I guess, I mean, I'm one of those people who smoked it all day, every day since I was, since I finished high school or whatever. I'm actually I took a month off starting at the start of this year for the first time in like my adult life.
Why'd you feel compelled?
It wasn't even that I was compelled. It was I got the flight I flew into Sydney Jan 1 from the States, and it's like a 30-hour thing, you know. And I'd been living up in the mountains just doing ag work and writing music and just smoking endless, super powerful American weed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was coming back to Australia, and the 30-hour flight, I figured that would be like the shit part of stopping smoking. You know, because it's I mean, I've not tried it, but I imagine day one is the shit one. So I got to Australia and I felt like shit anyway because I was jet lagged, and yeah, then I did, you know, I smoked a little since then, but not like not every day like I had for the rest of my adult life.
Does it fuck with your productivity? Obviously not.
I mean, I've not been any more productive this month than usual.
Okay.
So I guess it was maybe I thought it was fucking with my productivity my whole life, but I guess maybe I should just keep not smoke. So maybe I'll have some wave of productivity in the next month. I don't know.
No.
We'll see.
It's a journey. It's a journey.
It kind of fucked with me trying to park cars back in the day.
Did you get paranoid? Like, oh shit, no. I don't want to scratch this beautiful whatever.
I'm pretty lucky in that I'm not someone who gets paranoid when I smoke weed. Basically, I think if you're someone who doesn't get paranoid when you smoke weed, that's when you become a proper stoner, because it's like, why would I not smoke this shit? And
chill.
If I've got a job where I can smoke weed, I probably should smoke weed while I'm there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It doesn't work for me. I've learned that. I get paranoid, introverted, don't want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Can't make eye contact. I get weird.
I love a chat when I've had a smoke. I'll talk the legs off a chair.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Is that what you do on your radio show?
Actually, I don't smoke weed before the show. I do the show early in the morning. Why? Wonder why. I don't. When I make radio pre-smoking weed, I like to be nice and angry. You know what I mean? Not angry, but like jacked up.
Yeah.
Because it's a morning show.
2 coffees, 3 coffees?
As much coffee as I want, and then it's like I'm trying to get it's a drive time show, so I'm trying to get people to work feeling hot, you know, like Moon Man in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
You ever listen to him back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Triple M Grill Team vibes, like let's get fucking fired up.
You do that stuff?
That's what I try to do, yeah.
Why?
Because I just want people to fucking have a good day.
Yeah, dude. I can see you doing it. You got a rad voice.
Thanks, man.
What, have you ever tried to maybe apply to one of those stations? You could be the next Kyle and Jackie O.
Oh, that's my dream. I'd love to fucking topple Kyle.
Would you?
I think he's got health issues right now. It might be my moment. Do you know anyone over at Nova? Are they still at Nova?
I don't even know. I mean, I haven't listened to commercial radio. I haven't listened to radio in years. I mean, I stopped listening to Triple J. Man, I used to listen to Triple J religiously for most of my life, and then I just can't listen to Triple J anymore. I don't know. Is that a thing amongst the musician?
Well, there was actually
there
was actually a scam that happened there. You know what happened?
What happened?
Well, I mean, there was a big before and after for Triple J that I mean, a lot of people say, you know, the reason that you and I don't like Triple J anymore is just because we're old, we're out of touch. And there's probably an element of that too. But I know that the Murdoch, I don't want to sound conspiratorial. I know this through music industry back channels.
Okay.
Murdoch Media, when they started all those great stations like Smooth FM, excellent radio station. They just play the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and now, but the best shit. Smooth FM, WSFM, I think is a Murdoch-owned station, maybe 104.1, Today FM, Murdoch-owned. They don't make any money. What they pay in licensing for the music is balanced out just by the advertising. Those stations exist purely to chip away at the audience base of Triple J. That's why those stations were invented. And that's why Triple J, since '06 or whenever Smooth and all those stations started really those stations started taking young listeners from Triple J. So Triple J had to double down playing less like obscure music. They now, that's why they started playing more American music. That's why they started playing Tiesto and shit like that. Because if they want to get played on the building sites, if they want to get played on the building sites, if they want to compete with Smooth, if they want to compete with the Murdoch-owned stations, they got to do that shit. And that was intentional by the Murdoch media.
Are they really thinking that ruthlessly? Like, are you telling me that, like, one of the biggest media
This will be your
giants...
last ever broadcast. Murdoch's coming for you.
Yeah, he can chip away.
We're getting sued out the arse for this.
It's all right, man.
There you go.
Can't sue nothing.
Yeah. I was going to say they can sue me for my. I got my Birkenstocks are pretty nice.
Yeah, man. 2 times nothing's nothing. Can I ask you a question? Like, you've been a musician for most of your life, and how long you've been in?
I actually got to it. I got to it kind of late. Music.
Okay. Well, that was one a question I want to ask. Is like, when did you start playing in a band?
I mean, I played in bands in high school, and I tinkered away making reason beats in my 20s. But I never quit my day job till I was. I got laid off when I was 27, and that was my last time I had a job in Sydney.
What were we doing?
I was working on the light rail, working on the trams.
Are you really?
Yeah. I was a conductor. I was one of the last conductors on the Sydney light rail.
That's right.
Before they got rid of us.
For City Rail, you were employed by City Rail.
I was employed by. I mean, actually, that's the
private?
thing.
Was that private?
That's
the light rail.
I mean, I'm going to sound so conspiratorial again, but they sold the light rail to a private company, which then, once they put the Opal card in, fired all of the conductors.
Oh.
They dogged us, yeah. They fucking dogged our asses.
So it's like the robots took over again.
I mean, yeah, I got replaced by a robot. Yeah.
Were you bummed?
Yeah, I loved that job. That was great. I would have done that. I would have fucked off. I wouldn't have been a musician right now. I would have done that I would still be doing it now. It was a great job. Because you get overtime. You could do, if you need a little extra money, you could just do fucking 7 days or do nights or whatever.
And they were cool.
Yeah, it was easy as well.
So then you sort of went, okay, don't have a job, going to try and work a bit harder on the music.
Yeah, because I was doing that and I was moving furniture and I couldn't quite pad the pantry just moving furniture and fucking scamming or whatever. So, yeah, then the band, which had been going for 4 or 5 years in like pretty much middling, like not successful at all, we did this one tour and got signed. We just got lucky. We got picked. We did a big support tour in the States, got signed, and then
who'd you support?
Foxygen, you know that band? They're a great band.
Okay.
Listeners, check out Foxygen. But they did us they threw us a big bone. They left a note in my business in Alex's backpack after a show, and just the note said, "Come on the road. Email our manager here."
No way.
Sent him an email and did our first like big US tour in support of them.
And did you get like signed after that?
We did this. We went over there, bought a car, and just followed their tour bus for like 30 dates, coast to coast, LA to New York. And by the time we got back to LA, their record label were like, because they thought me and Alex would. I'm sober now. I don't drink anymore. But back then, me and Alex were like, younger guys and fucking maniacs or whatever. And they'd heard all these antics, these 2 fucking Australian idiots driving a '88 Cadillac across the country and fucking wrestling in the car park in the rain and all this shit, and just decided to make us an offer. And I told them to go fuck themselves, and then took a bigger offer off someone else.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that has sustained a living.
That was, yeah.
Like you could sustain a full-time music career.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I necessarily have rented an apartment, rented a house since then or anything like that. But I own a car, I own a nice car. And
like the new Sonata?
I got like a 2000 ES 300 Lexus.
Sick.
Nice sedan, 2-tone.
Those things are gangster.
Yeah, I keep it nice as well. I've had a couple nice cars. But yeah.
But it's...
I only occasionally have to do side work as well, you know, bit of grape picking here and there.
do that.
I very rarely have to work a day job though.
Vineyards, yeah. And it sounds like you've had some longevity with it. And what do you think the key to the longevity is?
Me and Alex, we met each other when we were little kids, you know, we've known each other our whole lives. So we kind of got the music section of our lives is maybe just 1/3 of it. We got a bit of continuity to start before that. And so now it's the sort of was never a question like we're just going to keep putting out records and doing this. Plus, because we didn't get to it to 27, we kind of, you know, playing in a band, as much as I love working on the trams, playing in a band full time probably is, you know, up there with the best jobs in the world. It's up there with pro skater or whatever, you know. So we know the alternative. I don't want to go back to moving furniture or checking tickets or whatever, delivering pizza. I will if I have to, but I would obviously prefer to keep releasing music and touring.
So, like, after you did that tour in the States, like, is that when you decided to stay and living in the States?
Well, because in Australia we couldn't really. The problem in Australia was we just couldn't get enough shows.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's only, you play Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Newey, Wollongong, and that's kind of, then you got to wait 6 months or a year at least, otherwise people are just going to get.
Space it out.
In Sydney, they couldn't be more sick of us down there, you know, because we played like 50 shows there before we ever went overseas, you know.
Yeah.
And so
festivals?
We went, when we went overseas and started working in the States, that was when it kind of dawned on us like, fuck, if we play a show in LA, we can go play a show the very next night in Phoenix, and then the very next night we can go play a show in fucking Tucson, then we can go play a show in Austin. You know what I mean? And by the time you finish touring the US, you're almost ready to go back and start again because it's been a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we plugged in Europe as well. You know, we did pretty good there too. So we didn't come back to Australia that's why we didn't move overseas so much as just like focused on Europe and America due to Australia basically being sick of us. And then by the time we come back, that's when we did like Laneway and did the festivals and shit, and that was fucking awesome.
That's so good.
That was so good.
But I guess it comes down to the size of the market and the population. It's always been that conundrum.
Exactly.
For artists, musicians, skateboarders.
Yeah, yeah. Plus being Australian, I think like it's dumb, but I think there is something to being an act from somewhere else. You know, when an American act comes to Australia, it's more exciting for the locals than
So it gave you that edge with the American audience? Maybe,
yeah. I like to think it was all the music, but I think that there was an element of exoticism to us or whatever.
yeah, I reckon. So how'd you end up in Colorado then, of all places?
I mean, I lived most of my time in the States in New York just because I don't even know why. I like New York. And then I moved to LA for a bit, but and that was a couple of years ago. And I'm not going to talk. Yeah, I love LA, but if you're not like engaging with the whole scene, with like the, if you're not schmoozing executives, if you're not working in the high-end studios, if you're not like taking meetings about TV shows or whatever, it's a very expensive town to live in.
Yeah, dude.
And so I basically just dipped and moved up to Colorado. Bunch of the musicians that I'd worked with in the past live up there. So, and they got a studio up there that I can work in, plus all the ag work up there. Like I mentioned, you can do seasons, picking grapes. I mean, fucking keep it dark. Don't tell.
Picking grapes in Colorado?
Don't tell. No, we shouldn't actually talk about the ag work because that's. I'll get deported.
You have a green card.
No. Actually, maybe this part of the
Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
You could get.
Okay. But living on the western slope of Colorado, it's beautiful. The nature's beautiful. You can go live in a yurt and it's cheap as hell. The people there are really cool.
The Rocky Mountains, man.
Yeah.
They are special as.
I tell you as well, you live in LA, just every fucking person asks you what do you do?
Yeah.
And it's like, bro.
Yeah.
I started telling people I was unemployed. I got sick of telling people I was a musician.
But like, They'd love that, wouldn't they?
Well,
that sounds cool as.
I loved it. Yeah.
How do customs officers accept that job description when they ask you what's your occupation?
I mean, that's the thing. I've got a musician visa.
Okay.
So when I rock up to customs, I just show them my they call it an alien of extraordinary ability visa.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah. And yeah, I just show them. I got visa issues right now, but for the last 10 years, I've had that visa.
Yeah. Seems like everyone who lives there for any extended period of time does.
Yeah. You can't fuck around in the States. They really take that visa shit seriously. And I think more than ever, they're going to be deporting.
Are you going back there?
I'm going back pretty soon, yeah.
Rad. Should be okay.
When's this podcast drop?
Probably about 3 weeks' time.
Oh, we're sweet then. We're good.
I can delay it if you need me to.
It's fine. We'll be sweet by now. By then, now. By the time the listeners are listening, I'll be in the country and they're fucked then. It's all good.
Yeah, well, let's pretend we're in the future.
We are. Right now we're in the. It's 3. Right now we're in the. We're not.
We're in the future.
We're in the future.
Now.
The future is now.
Do you live by that?
I mean, I think that part of what do I want to say? I try and live in the now. Because, they want you to think about the past. They want you to think about any time but now.
Who's they?
Fucking Trump and all these cunts. They want you to think about the glorious past that we came from. They want you to think about the grand future that we're heading toward. But right now is what matters. 3 weeks from now when people are listening, but also right now when we're talking.
Yeah, because, we're in the now. We're not 3 weeks ago.
It's now. Right now is now.
I'll tell you what, I don't like to live in the past, if I'm honest.
Yeah, fuck that.
I really have worked hard on it. And I actually don't like I don't like the past to define me. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be defined by things I've done in the past. And I think someone like you who's enjoyed some success musically, it would be very easy to potentially rest on your laurels or,
I mean,
live in that.
I think if you've had success in the past and it goes away, that could burn you as well, like the disappointment of that. But I don't know.
How have you and Alex maintain a good creative relationship?
Oh, I mean, we at times haven't. At times we haven't. But friendships are, in my experience, friendships are things that take place over the course of decades.
Yeah.
So, there's always going to be ups and downs, but I don't think that, it's,
Best friend or brother? Would you describe him as your best friend or brother?
I mean, we have become like brothers, I would say. Though, we do have brothers and sisters of our own age, but we have sort of, because we were, if you're in a band with someone for 10 years and sometimes we had, sometimes we expand. The more money, if you look through our career, you can tell how much money we got by how many members of our band there are. Sometimes we've got a drummer and a bass player and a guitarist and a keyboard player and a backup singer and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That meant we were doing good. Other times it's just me and Alex on stage. And touring like that's intense because, you drive around in a car, it's like he and I in a sedan just driving town to town, trying to fucking play shows and sell merch and not talking to each other or listening to the radio. That's
no
kind of
assistance.
tense.
With no assistance, no roadies, you're setting up everything yourself. And
yeah.
Dude, here's a really random question because, I don't know music, but
we've had tour managers and roadies in the past. But again, that was when we were doing real good.
One thing I always actually consider now that I've been doing the podcast for 6 or 7 years is I had to teach myself audio. Yeah. And I'm always recording in different locations.
Wait, should we describe where we're sat right now?
Go, describe it.
We're in the office of the Oak Hotel, Newcastle.
Tyres Hill.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a very sticky leather couch on which I'll sleep tonight.
Really?
I'm sleeping here, dude, for sure.
How can they get you a room?
I'm not going to sting him for a room. Fuck that. I got this lovely office to sleep
sleep
in.
on the floor. Dude, I've got a spare bed at my place. You'd be way more comfortable.
I mean, That might be nice, yeah.
Anyway.
We should talk about this. I mean, we can talk on air. Thank you. That is, I really appreciate that. It's no small thing to me.
And the lounge is not leather. It's like what do you call it? The fake leather.
Oh, pleather.
Yeah.
That's better than leather, in my experience.
Anyway.
It's cheaper than leather.
Well, yeah. And look at it, it looks the same.
And you can clean it easier. You can just hit it with some, it polishes easier.
Spray and wipe.
Yeah, yeah.
What were we talking about just before that, though? Because I had a really good question.
Friendships, creativity.
Oh, no, audio. So, like, recording in different locations all the time, I've, realised, like, because I like to try and get semi-good audio. But if you're playing gigs at different venues, like, constantly, do you ever get to venues and it's just really bad acoustics, or they don't have a sound engineer, or they don't even, you know what I mean? They don't have a proper PA. Like, how do you adapt to all that sort of shit?
I mean, I would say Alex and I, we're technical in our way, but mostly for us, like, when you show up and you put on a show, we would have done 500 shows, he and I, or at least. And,
wow.
And some of them have been on a fucking moving boat in a harbour, and some of them have been, in someone's garage, and some of them have been in a giant stadium. We played fucking Acer Arena, and all of them, you never know when it's going to, like Acer Arena, it sounded like shit. You know what I mean? Because you're on stage and you play the sax and it sounds like a fucking toy instrument going out and bouncing off these empty seats.
Fuck.
So I find as long as you hold your nerve and keep a straight face, no one in the crowd will know.
Right.
So I try and ignore the sound.
Yeah, okay.
I think that it's more about, when you're doing a live show, it's more about fucking putting your full ass into it.
Played in Acer Arena, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like, who are you supporting then?
I was supporting the Killers.
Are you kidding me?
It was the best. It sounded like shit, but it was the best.
Had the audience filled in by that stage?
We'll probably play into a third full arena, but there's something amazing about that as well.
That's an 80,000 seater.
Yeah.
They would have sold it out.
Oh, no, it wasn't Acer. It was Rod Laver. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Still big.
Still big.
It's big.
Pink played there. It was insane. Incredible rock and roll experience. And so funny. It's just a really strange.
Why was it funny?
It's just strange because you feel like such a pathetic little man at the bottom of this giant stadium.
Yeah.
There's all these people up there, they're not there to see you. It was just an amazing experience.
When you're up there and you look out of the crowd, do you see faces or is it just all a big blur?
I mean, I think for Alex it's different because he's singing and dancing. But for me, if I'm not playing the horn, I kind of just sit there on a stool.
Okay.
So I had a lot of time to look at the crowd.
Okay.
And again, we were opening the show, so maybe every second person was looking at their phone or maybe talking to their friend.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing experience too, to play to a crowd like that. It's a very unique thing. And
what do you mean looking at their phone?
Because they were waiting for the Killers to come on. They didn't give a fuck about us. They're like, who are these local openers? Great, they just drag up some cunt from fucking Sydney. What do we give a fuck about them? And what do I give a fuck about a bunch of Melbourneites? No offense. But yeah, it was amazing. It was, and to see see any faces at a show, because I've played shows to no one. So to see anyone in a crowd looking at you is great.
I think so too. And I think unless you've stood in front of a large crowd before, which I've done, not because it was for me, but I've been in front of a lot of people, what you don't realise that when you're up there, you do see everything. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And but people in the crowd don't realise that you can see everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why they're there on their phone. They don't know that you're watching them, thinking you fucking
You-
South Australian.
Like, I'm putting myself out here. Like I've worked my whole life for this moment.
Yeah. It's an amazing feeling being on stage in front of that many people.
You're definitely feeling energy, right?
Yeah.
In front of that many people.
I felt like I was going to float away.
Well, like, can you give me what was one of your standout moments on stage in your career so far? I know that's a very big question, but if you could pick one at a festival or a gig where it was popping off, what was a standout?
Standout moment? I mean, I mentioned Laneway just because by that time me and Alex had been away for you know, because we'd spent so long grafting in Australia and just with no success, and then gone overseas and come hot shots over there or whatever. And then coming back to Sydney, it was sort of like, you know, are people going to like us still? And then we played this show at Laneway, and there were a whole bunch of fucking Blues jerseys in the crowd, and people were drunk as skunks and just partying and singing the words back to us. And it was the biggest crowd I'd played in Sydney at that time. And it was just the feeling of being back in my hometown and seeing that, it was just like, fuck yes.
Dude.
I loved that. What else was good? There's been too many cool shows to even mention. It's been a wild ride.
You seem healthy. Like, being in that environment all the time, like, how have you kept a lid on the heavy partying?
I didn't at first. For years and years, I was like a terrible drunk. I'd get, you know, talk about smoking weed all day. You know, when we were touring back then, I was very naughty. I'd get up and drink beers and then fucking drive the van to the next show, and then I was like a proper alco. And you know, and I'm not I am a shit drunk. Maybe 1 in 10 times. I'm a pretty antagonistic drunk, to put it lightly. But you know, when you're doing a show every night, that 10th time comes around more quickly. And so I basically fucked up and had to stop drinking. So I haven't drank since 20. It's been 7 years since I drank at all.
Consciously?
Had to set it down, yeah. Stopped overnight.
Counting days?
No, I mean, I did it first, but now it's just, I know, you know, Halloween 2017, I stopped. It's been 7 years since then.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not the kind of guy who can just have a beer every now and then as well. I'm a bit of a Moorish character.
I feel that, brother.
Yeah.
I mean...
So once I stopped the drinking, I let myself do whatever drugs I fancy, smoke as much weed as I want, and, yeah, I'm basically good. I haven't fucked up since.
Yeah. do you feel like alcohol was the real devil?
For me, yeah.
For you?
Yeah.
It does work for some people. Like, and that's where I'm like you. Like, I'm always amazed that I can just watch people have 2 beers and then call it a night.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
I drink 2 beers and it's like I'm fucking energized to the max. I
2
feel like
beers.
I need more. I feel like I'm going to set on fire.
Yeah, like I get this little numb feeling in my legs, and something says, "Let's party,
let's fucking go."
But but normal people go, "Oh, that little tipsy feeling. Whoa, I'm good. I've had enough."
No, yeah.
For me, something goes, no, let's go.
Yeah, try and burn the flame a little brighter.
Let's go get a Grandma Charlie now.
There we go. Exactly.
I don't know.
It leads to other things. So as long as I've still got my drinking under control, it's been a long time since I touched the stuff.
Yeah.
I loved drinking so much. And to this day, I wish that I was someone who could just have a couple beers. But I'm not like that. So as long as I keep that under control, it seems like I can do all the fucking other nasty shit I want. I don't really do coke that much, but it's mostly too costly for me. But yeah.
Is this the kind of stuff you talk about on your radio show in the morning drive time commute show?
Oh, God, the shit I talk about on that show, fucking hell.
And it's just you and a microphone?
Yeah.
You don't have a co-host?
No.
Dude, if you're hiring.
For real, let's make some radio, man. I'd love to do that.
But what do you talk about on there? Like, yeah, and do you come up with a plan like, hey, I've got some motivational quotes, like, hey, I read this meme today.
It's a request show.
You don't
So I know what music, I get the music, the listeners email me. They send me music requests.
Okay.
Or they go on a Discord server and they make requests there. So
can you play music without copyright infringements?
Because it's internet radio, and once, if you're not listening live, I think you've got 23 hours and 59 minutes to listen. So technically it doesn't trigger a copyright issue.
Got you.
And, you know, people say, you're ripping off artists, but I also don't advertise on the show. I never turned a buck from it. So
yeah, okay.
Go fuck yourself, basically. As if I've never been ripped off, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So and I go in without a plan. I just turn it on and go. I have days, you know. I've got like the Monday mega mix, you know, getting jacked up for your Monday like it's Friday, but it's Monday.
And it's like an ode to commercial radio almost.
It's like not so much, it's like an ode to...
Is it satire?
It's not even satire because I really love the art form of radio. It's harking back to like, you know, fucking moving furniture with the boys, you know, working for the Walker Brothers back in the day and like sitting in the dog truck and listening to the radio, listening to Triple M with them, you know, listening to the Grill Team when they really got stuck into it, you know, just talking shit and like playing Foo Fighters and just making flawless radio. It's all about flawless radio for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wish I could play music on the podcast without any problems. I've had guests on who will play something like into the microphone and that's rad. Like I love all that. But over the years of doing it, like the amount of dudes that reach out to me and go, listen, I work on a construction site all day and I just have my headphones in listening to the podcast. Like I don't think you realize doing that, how appreciated it is and how much you do improve people's day.
That's the thing.
And that's been the biggest standout for me. And it's like I said, construction sites are the biggest one. And I did sorry to keep talking.
Shout out to the boys as well.
Shout out to the boys. Like I remember one of the most satisfying things for me was I did a podcast with the lead designer of all these big skate parks around Sydney. And after I did it, it was all the concreters that work hours, you know, 12, 15-hour days, you know, laying concrete and working their guts out. And they're just like, thanks, man. We got to hear from our boss and we listened to the podcast when we were on the site. And they were just the best dudes and very satisfying.
That's why I like making morning radio, you know, trying to get people jacked up for work. Everyone who listens is either listening on the way to work, in the commute, or they're listening at work with, you know, one headphone in the office, or they're driving the bus and they're listening. And they write to me and tell me about it. Same sort of stuff, just saying like, this got me jacked up to, you know, to fucking slack off at work or steal from the till or whatever. and I love that, man. You know, when people, the workplace fucking wackos running into me and just saying, g'day, I love that shit. That's what it's all about for me.
Do you think there's too many podcasts out there?
I mean, that's half the reason I had to leave LA. I just got fucking sick of these cunts telling me about it.
About what?
Their fucking podcast.
Like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast?
No, like asking, you know, they ask me what I do for a living and I ask them what they do for a living. They're like, oh, I make a podcast actually. And then I ask what their podcast was about and it's like, oh, I interview actors.
Oh, no.
I don't think there's too many podcasts.
Shit, I do it too. I do it.
I'm just pulling your leg.
Are you joking?
Yeah. There's obvious, you know, I think that the thing is, radio used to be coast to coast in America. You know, one radio host had talked to the whole country. Yeah. You've got your niche. You know.
Yeah.
You've got, my radio.
I don't know if I've got a niche.
My radio show goes out to maybe 80 people, 80 to 100 people max.
That's rad.
I love it. I'm stoked about that.
It's tough.
But that's how it's done now. You know what I mean? We're forming little guerrillas. Not like the banging on their chest, but like you know what I mean?
You've got trying to influence their psyche?
Not even influence the psyche, but just people have, you can find your thing now if you're a listener.
Okay.
Because this is some specific shit we're talking about here.
It's niche.
You're not going to hear this on Moon Man in the morning.
You don't think?
You're not going to hear this on Kyle and Jackie O.
But I feel like this format, everyone's doing now. Like, you know,
having a yak.
Long form conversation. It's kind of the format that everyone's doing.
But I don't see a bottom to the well is the thing.
Yeah.
I don't see any.
It's all going to have a different spin, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know why. I don't know who's tuning into what podcast, but you know, that's the beauty of the internet. You know, the great democratization of all this shit. The fact that it's not just in the hands of the big boys anymore. It's not just Kyle and Jackie O. It's not just these. It's not just the big fucking. I'm not going to call this bloke out his podcast in fucking LA where he interviews Leo DiCaprio because that's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to hear that shit.
No.
Some people want to hear you talk to a very obscure saxophonist.
I love that.
You know,
dude. Tonight. The gentleman, the producer guy making the documentary, asked me to just intro what I do for the documentary, which is the documentary is not about me. It's about the guest who I was interviewing. And then I'm like, said some shit like, oh yeah, like I just want to hear life stories and people's, experiences and hopes for the future. And I'm just like, can I be any more cliche?
Nah, that's.
And I'll be straight.
Take
I've been
that back.
cringing all night, and I'm like, I'm gonna actually send him an email and go, dude, please don't use that in the documentary.
You stand by that shit, man.
Why?
Because what do you? It's honestly these days on the internet, you can either cringe or you can compromise.
Okay.
That's your two choices, and I think that do you want someone who charges? It's okay to be cliche. I told you I'm sober, and people ask me how you did it. And it's like, with the cliches, one day at a time, do your best, hang in there. It's on the poster there on the wall.
Baby.
Don't ever be afraid of doing something that feels cliche or cringe. I hate when people say that shit.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's that, or you fucking compromise about who you are, and then you're a poser and you're fucking corny, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
That's my opinion.
That's why when you said I'm sober, I didn't want to say I'm sober too.
You are. Say it, man.
12 years.
I didn't know that.
12
Fucking
years.
A.
But it's like, it's just so cliche.
It's not cliche, man. If it is, who gives a fuck?
No, you're right. Fucking oath, you're right.
Who gives a fuck?
I know. Yeah.
12 years is huge, man.
Yeah, it's been terrible. Divorce in that time.
Yeah.
Mental health issues.
I bet.
Because I'd been suppressing poor mental health through alcohol for most of my life.
That's the great Australian way, dude.
Started a podcast to talk about it, and it's been very therapeutic. One of my surfing idols, Kelly Slater, once said in an interview, "Yeah, man, podcasts, they're for middle-aged men who don't want to go and see a psychiatrist." I was like, damn you, Kelly. Damn, I love you. You're the GOAT.
Look.
And then you said that about me. Fuck you.
I'm sick of that as well. People being like, well, men will do anything to avoid seeing a psychiatrist. Maybe I don't fucking have a couple $100 lying around to go and see a psychiatrist. Maybe I go and see a psychiatrist and they say some dumb shit and I never want to fucking see one again. I went to a therapist when I sobered up, and she gave me some great advice.
What'd she say?
I said, I thought I was going crazy. I asked her, I said, I did all this awful shit. What's going on? She said, why don't you stop drinking and see if that helps it? One sentence. And she fucking cured me of alcoholism. You know what I mean? So maybe maybe I don't need,
I'm not laughing.
Yeah, I totally. It was fun. It's funny looking back because she was dead fucking right.
It's fucking true.
I never saw her again.
That's all you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I just couldn't speak to psychologists or therapists. I just couldn't do it.
It's not for everyone.
And then I worked out what works for me. And what works for me was a few things. The main one was having a friend that will fucking listen to you repeat the same story over and over and over, day or night on the phone, broken record. And for me, it was just like really heavy exercise, like to the point where it wasn't healthy. Like I was exercising like sadistically. And then I'd be okay. Well, for those that are listening, I've got my shirt off, but
we both got our shirts off. It's hot in here.
Low key flex. It's hot, but fuck, it's worth it. I'm so glad I met you, dude. Seriously,
you as well.
I felt like the second I met you, and I was like, I think we're going to be friends.
That's
legit. If you want to be, you looking for mates?
I'm always looking for mates. Let's be friends.
When you and your business partner, musician, band friend. Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah.
So, when it comes to making decisions around the band, is it mutual or does someone have an overriding?
I'd say he's got the he's got the veto power for sure because it's his name's attached to it.
Yeah,
he's the primary songwriter. So I that's good. I don't honestly love making decisions. I get a little stressed out making decisions, and I wouldn't say I'm a follower, but I
don't feel that.
I do, there's normally not that many decisions to make in the business side of a band because
yeah,
it's pretty simple stuff. But the creatively, I defer to him for sure. I would say I'm a big admirer of him, which helps.
That does help. Yeah, wow. Do you think you will? Have you ever talked about like a timeline of like how long are you going to keep this going for?
Oh, I mean,
Or you haven't even considered that?
no, I mean, the goal is fucking Iggy Pop or Keith Richards, you know, go be on stage at 78.
Rad. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I don't, not to give too much of the game away, but these days, if you're a musician, you're probably not going to buy a house.
But like you said tonight,
You never know what's coming.
Van's the new house.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We were talking vans earlier off mic. Maybe one day, if I could buy a van, I'd be really stoked.
Oh, same, dude.
If I could buy a nice high ace with a little queen bed in it, one of those I saw a solar set up the other day.
Oh, the best.
In the campground, some bloke had one set up.
Yeah.
Fuck, that'd be good.
I rented one. There's a thing. I don't want to say the name of the website because just don't want to give them that promo. But it's
They can pay you for that. They can give you a fucking van if they want that promo.
for sure. But it's like Airbnb for van owners. So you got a van, but you're not using it this week. Put it on the Airbnb for vans, and just people's vans. And me and my friend, we rented one, and basically it was all solar powered setup, had a fridge in it.
Wow.
But it was just a high ace, and like it was a low budget refurb. And like I was just like, what am I doing with my life, you know?
Fuck, I love that. You know, this might be a bit out there, but I think it's what am I trying to say here? We're in testy subject now. You know, we're in weird territory now, but I think it's morally better to be nomadic on stolen land.
Good point.
Is that
That's a first on here.
yeah.
I love that.
Because this is, I don't know. I don't want to dog anyone who owns a house or whatever. Good for you, but maybe we can delete that part of the
No,
podcast.
don't delete it. It's
Yeah,
just that's just an interesting observation. You're allowed to make that observation.
It does appear like I've come up with that after not being able to buy a house or rent a house, but
You know what's worse than not being able to buy a house?
not being able to rent a house.
No, owning a house,
Yeah.
maybe two houses,
Yeah.
and then losing them all.
I can imagine. I can't even fucking
And then
imagine.
realizing that they never really mattered, and that whole dream is so flawed beyond words.
I got a feeling looking, it's going to be funny to see how the idea of home ownership even ages over the years.
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought I've got to own a house to give to my kids when I'm older, but when I pass away. But I just realised that you will give it to them and then they'll just sell it anyway.
Maybe they keep it and surround it with barbed wire and
Unless there's a real sense.
stockpile batteries and fresh water and gun. I assume by the time your kids are grown that this is all going to be in a radiated desert.
Do you think the end times are near?
I don't know. Maybe we should start. Maybe it's not about home ownership anymore. It's about vans. It's about armored compounds, and that's it. Mad Max is what
I
I'm
don't know.
describing
Look,
here.
all I know is that I feel I'm a much more content human without a mortgage. And that's all I know.
I like this contentness idea as well because, I feel like, happiness is sold to you as the goal, but contentedness is something you can actually get a hold of.
Thank you. And yeah, happiness is fleeting. Contentment is more sustaining, I think. And, that's like I just feel a lot more peace. And I know home security and stability is such a big thing for people, but I think that is it's delusional. It's not real. It's not real, but people have built it up to be real. And I think they would benefit from having a period of house instability because you will be okay and you will survive. Yeah. Especially in our country or countries. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are doing it very tough and I don't want to dismiss that, but it's just not going to provide the sustained happiness that people think it's going to do for them.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, I agree with that. And I feel like, you know, yeah, I don't even know what I'd want. Yeah, in terms of like owning a home and feeling, yeah, the sensation of stability is an illusion, I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
And, you know, if you're that desperately clinging to stability, you got to worry for your soul, you know, what might you do to keep a hold of that?
Yeah. It's a deep way to end. And we could end on that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't want to end because I just want to tap into like what's next for you, what's next for the band. Maybe just give us a quick rundown of like what you're actually doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And who you're traveling around with, and then any gigs coming up.
Gig wise, me and Al Cam are on a bit of a writing hiatus. Al's working with there's some big stuff coming out of the Alex Cameron camp. He's working with some of the top writers in the world right now.
Amazing.
So watch out, Grammys 2026. I'm just kidding. You looked at me with some... No, but maybe. So there'll be more Alex Cameron records. I got some solo material coming out. No, not coming out. I've got solo material I'm working on as Roy Molloy. We'll see how that...
For those that are unaware, like what could the listener expect to hear from a solo Roy Molloy?
Oh, songs about moving furniture and bloody working on the trams and...
Really?
Yeah.
So singing
and
playing all the instruments?
Playing sax. No, pay some nice broke American artists to play on it.
So you got budget?
I got no budget. They're all doing it because they're my dear friends.
No, really?
I'll get some budget.
Dude, you kind of got that face where like, I'll do anything with this guy.
For me, I think, you give first, then you get, that's how I run my economy.
Have you said that?
That's how I run my economy.
I've been thinking so much about that lately. Changing that mindset of like, I've got to try and give more and not expect anything in return.
That's the way to play it, man.
Yeah, like, and I keep bouncing back and forth with it, and then I forget, and then someone will remind me that, yes.
I mean, if you're looking for a job, or if you're an air conditioner repairman, you should probably try and sort away the money first before you go to work. But I think creatively, making podcasts or making music, whatever. Keep it as far away from mine as possible.
Keep it as far away from what?
From your mind as possible. The money.
Yeah. It's funny, like that's what I've learned, and it's a really big thing for me this year. Is just like not even like I made a decision to not even look at numbers, downloads. I'm not looking at stats this year. Because I'm going to work off feel. Yeah. I don't care who the person is, if they have a good feeling off them, if they've got something they want to say. That's the mantra this year.
Yeah,
and then
those numbers don't mean nothing, because there could be someone who's listening to it and it's changing their life.
Yeah,
what I mean. I wouldn't want to suppose that about this particular episode, but I would rather one person really fucking froth your podcast than a bunch of people not give listen in the background or whatever, or listen to 10 minutes of it and then turn it off.
I know. What about you? Like, so what gigs you got coming up?
I got a gig coming up. I say this Friday, but it'll be Friday 2 weeks ago by the time this goes to air.
Nice.
I'm playing a show with Dog Trumpet, great Sydney band. It's Reg Mombassa and Pete O'Doherty from Mental as Anything, two of my heroes. So very honoured to be. I'm playing the opening act for them, and that's. I don't have a record out or anything like that. I'm still road testing the material.
Where's the venue? Where's it at?
Playing at the Bank in Newtown.
In Newtown.
Right near the station there.
Nice. Go and check it out. If I decide to release this earlier than that.
Yeah. If not, jump on Instagram. Come follow me.
Definitely.
Marvelous Crane.
Marvelous Crane?
Yep.
Okay.
And send me a picture of a crane if you see one. If you're a crane operator
Does that happen?
All the time.
Do you ever get groupies slide into your DMs?
Sometimes, and I just very politely say thanks for writing, but I'll just,
you tell them you're married.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoken to my wife in years, so that's not an issue.
She's cool though.
Yeah,
she's cool with that.
Yeah. It's like an entente, Is that the word? A truce.
Truce.
We might have to cut this part of the podcast.
Nah, it's nice. Oh,
Yeah, it's nice. It's fine. It's good.
I don't think you've said anything derogatory. You've just stated the facts.
Yes. But if any lady listeners or men or in between are looking to write to me in the inbox, I'm going to be sending you straight to the Platone zone, my bros. We're going to be talking platonically.
Platonically, the Platone zone.
Friends.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure's been mine.
It just felt good, felt right. Mr. Roy Molloy, everybody.
Thanks so much for the chat. It's been therapeutic, I think. I've really enjoyed it.
Mate, legend.
And to the listeners as well.
To the listeners.
Thanks for tuning in.
See ya.
See ya.
Bring it to you guys. I'm like, I don't know if you're cement, dog.
Do you want to reduce your levels of anxiety? Do you want to sleep better? I highly recommend using CBD oil products. I've been using them for years and it has done so much for me. It just feels like it's bringing my central nervous system down. It really helps me reset if I'm going through a period of like high stress or anxiety. It allows me to get some good quality sleep. There's no psychoactive ingredients. I've been working with Crush Organics for years now and I can definitely stand by the quality of their product. If you scroll down into this episode's show notes, you will see a link there. Click on that, you'll get an automatic 40% off. You'll be supporting THT. Alternatively, you can use code THT at checkout and that will also give you the 40% discount. So get onto that CBD oil.